Hello trainers, Professor Palm here, and welcome back to Summer Splash. I hope that all of you out there are finding good ways to beat the heat. After all, summer is the hottest time of the year. Thanks a lot, Groudon, for bringing us a lot of the sunshine. Well, even if the sun is pretty hot, there are good ways that we can cool down. But hey, sometimes some of us really like to have fun in the sun. This heat is unbearable. But at least summer is good for a couple of other things. It's the best for ice cream. If any of you want, I'm buying Castelia Cone. But if that's not what you like, I can also buy any of you trainers a soda pop, a lemonade, or even a fresh water. You know something that's on my head right now? A lot of water type moves. Specifically, dive, surf, and waterfall. Mainly they're just on my head right now because those are some of the most well-known HMs. Of course I did not forget about Whirlpool in Generations 4 and 2, but those really didn't carry on for many places. However, I can always think of so many Pokemon we can teach these moves, but there's one Pokemon out there that really makes me think about it most of all when I think of any of those moves, and that is of course the Sailor Pokemon itself, Lapras. This is a Pokemon that has saved me countless times, and I don't think I'd even be here today if it wasn't for this amazing transport Pokemon. You know something, trainers? Maybe we're just in one of the wrong regions to be for the summertime. It's just very hot somewhere. Like, someone could be in the Alola region, or someone could even be in the Unova region and it's scorching hot right now. So, maybe get yourself a Lapras, and instead of having to make an expensive ticket, just put your stuff on Lapras and ride to another region. That's what's so great about Lapras. It's a very friendly Pokemon that can take us so many places. And best of all, it's been around since the beginning of time. That's something I really love the most about Lapras, that it hasn't changed anything about it. Instead, it's just as a loyal Pokemon as it was when it first came onto the Earth. If you ask me, I think Lapras is a hero, especially in the Alola games. Think about it. When Lana gave us the pager so we could have that ride Lapras, oh my goodness, things were changed for the better, and we even got to complete a couple of trials, all thanks to Lapras. This Pokemon is a hero to me on so many levels. Not just because it's a great Pokemon to have, but this is a Pokemon that changed my Nuzlocke for the better. There were times where I was going to lose, but then when I put that Lapras I was given by the trainer so I could cross the sea, I won, and I even became the very best because of Lapras. This just shows that not only is it an adorable Pokemon, but it's also one of the greatest friends you can make in any region you get one. I most of all remember when Ash Ketchum caught himself a Lapras when he was on the Orange Islands. That was a great Pokemon to have. And something I really love about Lapras is the fact that they can understand human speech. So, the more we talk to Lapras, it's not going to ignore us or be like, oh, I don't know what you're saying. It knows exactly what we're saying. The only downside is Lapras cannot talk back to us, but it can use some psychic kind of power and understand what we're saying. So, yeah, that's what makes Lapras a really good friend to have, and if you have a lot of problems, I think Lapras would be happy to listen to everything. It's that best friend of yours that's always there for you. I think it's time that we talk all about Lapras and why it's a great Pokemon to have on your team, and why I believe it's a Pokemon that would really serve you well. But before we do that, a very special thanks and a shout out to you, Techranova. If you like these shirts I wear in my videos, you can buy them on Etsy. I have a link to Techranova's Etsy page in the description below, so please check her out and maybe buy a shirt from her. She is an incredible artist. And if you like this shirt I have on, this one is called The Water Tortoise Within. Since we're talking about Lapras, who's from Generation 1, just like Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise, I couldn't think of a better shirt to wear than this one. So, please check out Techranova and tell her Professor Palm sent ya. I may not be sponsored, but of course I want to say thank you for making this amazing shirt. And if you think this looks great on me, I think this will look even better on you. The ferry's leaving, trainers. All aboard! Get on Lapras' back and prepare for your wonderful journey across the oceans. I hope that you're ready to learn everything there is about the incredible transport Pokemon, Lapras! Lapras the transport Pokemon is based on the fabled creature, the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. However, Lapras also resembles the dinosaur, the plesiosaur. I'd love to talk about Lapras's habitat and tell you where to find one, as these are such wonderful creatures. But I sadly can't. Not just because Lapras are so rare, but because Lapras are on the verge of extinction. They are heavily endangered Pokemon. This is because so many people and so many Pokemon overhunted Lapras that the population of them severely dropped. The main reason why Lapras have been driven to such extinction is because they have such gentle hearts, and they rarely fight. To them, violence and battle is not the answer. All in all, Lapras are some of the most kind-hearted and pure Pokemon you will ever meet. With Lapras, I don't think that you will ever meet another Pokemon that has as big a heart as Lapras. If it was to see someone in danger, or it looks like someone is drowning, a Lapras will immediately spring into action to save them. And if it needs to, it'll go as fast as it can to bring someone to shore. This just shows how much it cares. And if it just cares for strangers, imagine how big its heart goes out to its loved ones and anyone that earns its trust. The only thing bigger than Lapras' heart is its brain. You see, Lapras are surprisingly very intelligent Pokemon. They have vast knowledge. Oh, and something really cool is how intelligent Lapras are. They're highly intelligent and are capable of understanding human speech. To Lapras, there is no such thing as a language barrier. No matter what language you speak, Lapras can easily catch on and will obey as well as understand you without a question. Lapras' shell is very hard, but at the same time, it's very smooth. There are plenty of places for you to sit on the shell, and Lapras don't mind anybody who sits on its shell. It actually really likes it when people rub the little knobs all over it. That will make Lapras very happy, and sometimes it'll even make it purr. If you've literally just missed the boat and you need to get from one place to another through the water, then get yourself a Lapras. Don't worry how many rides you take. Lapras love to give anyone rides, and they can't get enough ferrying around people and Pokemon alike. Anyone who gets on Lapras' back is in for a very happy voyage. Did you know that some Lapras work for the Postal Service? While Lapras is an important means of transportation over water for people and Pokemon, some of them act as cargo vessels. So yeah, this can be pretty cool if you get your mail delivered to you by a postman on a Lapras. Oh, and even though Lapras have very gentle hearts, they're incredibly strong and they can lift a lot of weight, especially something very heavy like the cargo they need to transport. Did you know that Lapras is one of the oldest Pokemon that's existed? You see, Lapras existed back in the Stone Age when prehistoric Pokemon roamed the Earth. In fact, there have been many cave paintings found with creatures that look very similar to Lapras. On these paintings, it shows humans as well as Pokemon taking rides on this creature. Some paleontologists have actually confirmed that it is a Lapras. This means that not only is Lapras one of the only few surviving creatures of the Stone Age, but it also means that the bond between human, Pokemon, and Lapras has remained unchanged this entire time. Because of its typing, water and ice, Lapras is a cold-resistant Pokemon, so crossing into the most bone-chilling of waters and icy seas is no issue for a Lapras. In fact, Lapras has smooth skin that makes it swim easily through the water, but if you want to touch its skin, I would recommend that you wear gloves, because it is so cold to the touch. In the evenings, when Lapras is in a good mood, it will sing, and let me tell you, if you ride this Pokemon and it sings, they have some of the most enchanted cries you will ever hear. Other than showing that it's in a good mood, a Lapras will sing as it seeks what few other of its kind remain out there. All of them remain hopeful that if they sing, another Lapras will join in with its own song. Thankfully, in the Alola region, the poaching problem, the overhunting problem, and the endangerment problem for a Lapras does not exist. Lapras is so cherished and loved by the people of Alola that following protective regulations, there's now an overabundance of Lapras all throughout the Alola region. However, this unfortunately has caused another major problem, as the fish Pokemon population has severely declined, being that there are too many Laprases living in the water. Other than having big hearts, Lapras are also very brave and have very good jobs. Some of them are used by firefighters. While some are used on the land, others are used on sea, After all, there are plenty of boats that catch on fire, and also, people need to be rescued from them. And sometimes, even lifeguards use these Pokemon to help them out. Even the Coast Guard themselves use plenty of Laprases to find stranded people or people broken down. But my favorite thing is, some Laprases are entertainers. In the Alola region, it's very common to go to the beach, and sometimes there are some kids that like to play on Lapras's back and are really entertained by that. In the Galar region, there are two company logos, which Lapras is the mascot for, and these companies are Surf Shipping, which does shipments over the water and all the oceans, and the other one is Lapras Shipwrights. This is the one that helps repair ships as well as brings new parts to them. Being the transport Pokemon and doing what it's done for so many years, it's no surprise that people love Lapras and it became the mascot of both companies. As great as Lapras has been, it made me really sad that it missed out on both Mega Evolution and Z moves. It's so sad because Lapras has been such a loyal friend to many of us. But don't worry, Lapras had something big in store. Oh, did I say big? I meant gigantic! In Generation 8, thanks to Professor Magnolia's research on both Dynamax and Gigantamax, we learned that Lapras was one of the handful of Pokemon capable of Gigantamaxing, and it could turn into Gigantamax Lapras or G-Max Lapras. Because of how ginormous Lapras has become, over 5,000 people can ride Lapras's shell at once when it's Gigantamax. It's also surprisingly a very comfortable ride. Oh, and Lapras are so careful that they swim through the waves without the slightest shaking or swaying. If you look very closely at Lapras, you'll notice that it appears to have some sort of sheet music with them, with the icicles filling in as the musical notes. You see, Lapras surrounds itself with huge ice rings gathered from ice particles. Using these, Lapras can smash through any size iceberg so nothing can obstruct its swimming. Oh, so if you're on Lapras, don't worry, this is not going to be a repeat of the Titanic. Gigantamax Lapras also has a signature move, being Max Resonance, which not only does damage, but also reduces the damage it receives for 5 turns, making this a bit of a ginormous Aurora Veil. Even though it took till Generation 8, I'm glad that Lapras finally received the love it deserved. After all, this Pokemon deserved something after everything it's done for all of us. Not only does it have a big heart and a big brain, but it also has a Gigantamax form to go with all of the best features about it. Lapras made its anime debut in the Pokemon Adventures in the Orange Islands episode, The Lost Lapras, where Ash Ketchum, Pikachu, Misty, and Tracy all saved a young one from a trio of thugs, and then they saved it again from Team Rocket. Ash caught his Lapras, and mostly used it as transportation between the islands. While this Lapras was a very good team member to Ash, he unfortunately released it in the episode Viva Las Lapras, but this was all for the good reason, because Lapras finally found its family and had a chance to go home and be with all of them. In the Core Series games, Lapras is the ace for both Elite Four Ice-type specialists L'Oreal and the Ice-type gym leader Melanie, aka the Ice-Cold Professional. However, Lapras also serves as the second-in-command on Misty's team if you battle her in any of the Johto games. In the Generation 2 games, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, if you had a Lapras in your party that knew the move Surf, instead of the normal Surf sprite that you would see, you would instead get Lapras on the water. What's really cool about this is in Pokemon Crystal, depending on what gender you chose to play, would also determine the color of your Lapras. If you chose to play Pokemon Crystal as a male, your Lapras color would be red. However, in Pokemon Crystal, if you chose to play as a female, your Lapras color would instead be blue. I guess Pokemon really like this, because in Generation 6, they brought it back for Pokemon X and Y. If you use Surf with Lapras, Lapras will have its own 3D model when surfing, where other Pokemon that use Surf are depicted as dark blobby figures. Sadly, even if you get lucky and own a shiny Lapras, it will never appear as a shiny 3D model. In Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon, Lapras is a ride Pokemon that you are given by Trial Captain Lana for her trial at Brooklet Hill. You're given Lapras to investigate the splashing. Since these games got rid of HMs, Lapras serves as your surf across the water. As of Generation 9, Lapras currently can learn the most one-hit KO moves than any other Pokemon, excluding Smeargle. as Lapras can learn the moves Sheer Cold, Fissure, and Horn Drill. Wow, for a peaceful Pokemon, it really can learn some very violent moves. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness, and the Sky, Lapras acts as a fairy Pokemon that can take you many places, especially to the Hidden Land. In Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, Lapras runs the Lapras Travel Liner, which allows the player to visit all the continents of the world. After completing the main story arc, Lapras will then be a recruitable character, only after you've established 100 connections. Since Lapras are very peaceful Pokemon, they don't wish to fight. Even though they take the route of being a pacifist, that doesn't stop other Pokemon from fighting them, and Lapras has a couple of weaknesses. If you really want them to stay around and not go extinct, make sure that you avoid them from being hit with moves that are Electric type, Grass type, Fighting type, and Rock type. Well, at least it doesn't have too many weaknesses, but that is still pretty bad, and if you're on a Lapras, you should always avoid it. Thankfully, not every Lapras will take the pacifist route, and they know when to get going. Even though they take the pacifist route, it's good to know that some Lapras know that they have to fight in order to survive. When backed into a corner, Lapras become really good fighters, and that they're very smart. They know what their typing advantages are. Being that they are Water and Ice type Pokemon, they have moves that are super effective on Pokemon that are Fire type, Dragon type, Flying type, Ground type, Rock type, and Grass type. Wow, that's actually a lot of strengths for Lapras to have. I expected it to not have many. It's kind of strange that they were driven to the point of extinction when they have that many strengths. Well, being gentle, it's nice to know that these Pokemon really don't like to fight. And I can kind of see why with how much power they have behind them. If you catch a Lapras in the wild, or someone gives it to you, it can have one of two abilities, being either Water Absorb or Shell Armor. A Lapras with the ability Water Absorb will take 0 damage when hit with Water-type moves. Instead, Water-type moves will restore Lapras' HP. A Lapras with the ability Shell Armor, on the other hand, has a hard shell that protects it from taking critical hits. Wow, what the shell! And for those who like to battle competitively using IVs, EVs, as well as hidden abilities introduced in Generation 5, Lapras also has a hidden ability. Its hidden ability is Hydration, which heals status conditions as long as it's raining. I think Lapras is such a great Pokemon, and I'm pretty sure that Game Freak thinks that too. After all, it had its own surfing sprite in Generation 2, and then, in Generation 6 and 7, they even made their own 3D models just for Lapras. I mean, how many other Pokemon can you name that had their own sprite and 3D models made just for surfing? You know what blows my mind the most about Lapras? It's the fact that it's been around since the Stone Age. That is how old this Pokemon is. It's seen so much stuff, and if we could talk to it, it would probably have the most amazing tales to tell us. After all, these are some of the most intelligent Water-type Pokemon out there. It does make me really sad that it's endangered and it's almost to the point of extinction. We really do need to protect Lapras, otherwise the only way we'll be able to find it might be through fossils. We don't want to make a Pokemon go extinct. That's possibly what could have happened in the Hisui region and why we don't see Hisuian forms in the other games. If you're looking for a great Water-type Pokemon to bring with you on a journey, I would say that there's many options, but one I would be happy to recommend is Lapras. Now, I know that you could go with many others, but the reason I would always recommend Lapras is because of the bond it's had with all of us. If you think about it, since the Stone Age, Lapras has been a partner as well as a Pokemon that's transported us through everywhere. So how can you not think that this would be a great Pokemon to have by your side? The bonds between a Lapras and us have never faded. In fact, they're as strong as they were back then as they are today. While I'm not a huge fan of Ice-type Pokemon, I would definitely put Lapras in my top 3 of favorite Ice-type Pokemon. Mainly because this is a Pokemon that has been with me in so many games. It's gotten me so many places and even has gotten me countless victories. For one of the very first Ice-type Pokemon we've ever had, I think Lapras sets the bar incredibly high. It really is a great partner to have, and if you go traveling across the sea, I don't think you could be on a better Pokemon than this one. Ahoy there, trainers! Welcome back. Did Did you learn a lot of incredible things about our little transport Pokemon Lapras? Oh, do you really like this Pokemon, and did you have a nice journey on its back? Well, I have a few questions for you. When it comes to getting places, do you prefer to run? Do you prefer to bike? Do you prefer to go on your motorcycle dragon in the Paldea region? Do you like going the water routes? Or do you like to go easy and fly? Do you think that Lapras should have gotten a Mega Evolution in Generation 6? Or should it have maybe gotten itself an exclusive Z-move with the Z Crystals in Generation 7? Or are you one of those people who thinks that it was worth the wait for the Gigantimax in Generation 8? Now that you know that Lapras was around during the Stone Age and technically is a dinosaur Pokemon or prehistoric Pokemon, is it now your favorite prehistoric Pokemon, or do you still prefer another? And most of all, do you remember Ash Ketchum's Lapras fondly? Did you ever get a Lapras, and did you treat it well? Or is it a Pokemon that you rather would not have on your team, and you prefer a much different water-type Pokemon, or an Ice-type? Well, trainers, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want me to cover another Pokemon, you want me to cover something else Pokemon related, or make an idea of yours become a video, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. I hope that you're all enjoying Summer Splash, and I hope that your summers are all going well, trainers. So, thanks for watching. Palm out!